Good evening, everyone. Welcome to those in the gallery and councillors to our ordinary meeting of council, the 11th of December 2023. Nearly Christmas, I'm sure we'll all be pleased of having a break. The public is advised that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. I would also like to begin by acknowledging country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1 is record of attendance. Attendance, apologies, leave of absence, and we have nil. Item 2 is confirmation of minutes of the previous ordinary meeting. You have a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
I'll move that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, could I have a seconder?
So second.
Councillor Bramich. Any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes. So are there any questions, queries or amendments that need to be made? None forthcoming. Thank you. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from the councillors or staff this evening, please?
Through you, Mayor, yes, I'll declare an interest in 19.2, which is the General Manager's performance review.
Thank you, Mr. GM. We have that noted. Any further declarations of interest? Moving on to item 4, announcements by the Mayor. At the recent Keep Australia Beautiful Awards Tasmania, Keep Australia Beautiful Tas, the Waratah community received the following awards. Winner of Population Under 500, Certificate of Excellence, Individual Certificates, Athenaeum Hall and Tarkine Interpretation Centre, Waratah 7321 Men's Shed, Waratah Craft Club, Waratah Community Hub, Waratah Museum and Philosopher Hut, Waratah Cenotaph and Anzac Day Memorial Services, Waratah Wood Chopping Carnival, Waratah Wishing Well and Gardens, Waratah Volunteer Fire Service and SES, Waratah Wynyard Council, Waratah Park, Waratah Wynyard Council, Waratah Post Office and Council Chambers incorporating the Information Centre, Book Club and Library, and Waratah Wynyard Council Kenworthy Stamper Mill. Highly commended, community spirit and inclusion, overall appearance and amenities, heritage and culture. In addition, staff member Kelly Millikins won the Citizen of the Year Award. In a media release put out by the Keep Australia Beautiful Tas, they stated that the Keep Australia Beautiful is a prestigious The Keep Australia Beautiful Tas is a prestigious Community Citizen of the Year Award which recognises a member of the community who continues to provide support to our awards program, organises entries and the judging program and supports community organisations. The winner of this award is Kelly Millikins. Kelly is the Community Development Officer at Waratah Wynyard Council, and during her time in this role, Kelly has provided immense support to Keep Australia Beautiful Tas. Prior to this, Kelly has been involved in working with the Waratah Wynyard community, and we have heard nothing but praise from the people in those communities for her passion, dedication and assistance in advising and helping them to progress and or achieve their various projects and aspirations. Kelly is a most deserving recipient of this award. Item 4.2 is the Mayor's communications, and you have before you, councillors, a recommendation that you note my communications. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Hyland, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, are there any questions or comments about my diary at this stage? No questions or comments? I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 4.3, reports by delegates. None have been received. 4.4, notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that you note the following workshops. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
I'll move with the recommendation.
Deputy Mayor Edwards moved. Could I have a
Seconded.
seconder? Councillor Roberts seconded. Are there any comments or questions about those items? Nothing from the floor. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We now move on to item 5, public questions and statements. 5.1, responses to public questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. None have been received. Public questions received in writing. 5.2.1, Mr Hutchison audited financial statements and AGM has posed 4 questions with an officer's response. 5.2.2, Mr Hutchison again has asked questions about East Wynyard Playground partial slide closure with a response from the council officers. It is now time for public questions without notice and public statements without notice. Before I ask those to come forward that are here to make statements and ask questions, I'd like to read the following statement. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with the Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of Council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that Council's meeting procedures were adopted at the March Council meeting, and in particular it should be noted that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions. All questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person, and there is to be no questions or discussion related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Dr. Crabber, would you like to come forward, please?
Is that better? Okay, so I welcome the motion by Councillor Courtney with regards to a universal basic income trial in Northwest Tasmania. However, I wish to state that I think the motion should be postponed until there has been a chance for more discussion on the motion. I would also like to provide some context on the work Live Well Tasmania has been doing with our campaign for a 3-year trial for a community-based income in Northwest Tasmania, which is a conditional version of universal basic income, being income paid for any broad form of participation, such as child raising, education and study, or work on community projects. In this model, a community alliance would co-design the details of what would be counted as participation, as well as other details of the trial. We believe one of the biggest problems holding back our region is our lack of capacity to work collaboratively towards both social and economic goals, and our inability to mobilise the huge resources we have in our community, who need both material support and social support to feel comfortable in stepping up to fill the large gaps in work that could be being done to improve our communities. As mentioned by Andrea in the motion, the Council has the Health and Wellbeing Plan, Integrated Council Environmental Plan, the Age-Friendly Plan and the Youth Plan, but does not have much resources to work towards the great outcomes sought by these plans. A community-based income would be an extremely effective way of attracting people to be part of these. Sorry, I've just got to go back a bit. Council's very successful sustainability and environmental advisory panel could be replicated in the 3 areas of health and wellbeing, age-friendly communities and youth, perhaps starting with the Health and Wellbeing Plan. a community-based income would be an extremely effective way of attracting people to be part of these panels. There is a lot of evidence that the model of unconditional or universal basic income is likely to fail to result in sufficient mobilisation of people to contribute towards these plans and to the large range of other work that's needed in our communities. In the last month, I have done presentations on our project to the New Economy Network Australia in Canberra, the University of Tasmania Regional Conference in Devonport, and the Australasian Agri-Food Research Network in Hobart, and received a lot of feedback that they think our project is a great initiative that could really make a difference. We have also spoken to a number of Tasmanian politicians over the last 12 months and have also received really good feedback about our conditional model of basic income. I think the Waratah Coast Authority is well placed to help build the case for a trial, including facilitating the other 7 councils to get on board with promoting it. So it could be worth amending the motion also once there has been more discussion to include Waratah Wynyard Council requesting the Waratah Coast Authority to take on this role of promoting a trial of community-based income in the northwest. And finally, we'd like to extend an invitation to Councillor Courtney to join our steering group for our community-based income campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crabber. Mr. Ewington, would you like to come forward?
Hello all. It's unfortunate that I have to come again and talk about slender thistles, because this month I've seen some devastating action by the farmer, so I am come once again to talk about it. This campaign's been going for 16 years. Now 16 years ago there was in excess of 100 acres of ground pasture which had slender thistle infestation, which is a large amount of area. Now it's about down to probably a bit over an acre of area. Each year I have to go through biosecurity, which goes through the weed control for Bill Walker to try and make action against the next door neighbour. There's supposed to be a management program put in each year, so he does a spraying program in early and detect and eradicate the weed. This has not happened. For 16 years now I've been trying to get this weed controlled for the benefit of the community and myself, because I've been a farmer all my life and I understand what a slender thistle does and create to this community. Last year there was 2 small paddocks on the roadside between neighbours who they had a large infestation of slender thistles and which were not sprayed or attended to. So in due course they developed again this year, and I highlighted through biosecurity, which in turn highlighted to Bill Walker. To my devastation, the owner slashed the slender thistles, which in turn leaves good growing slender thistles along the fence lines, around machinery, around blackberry heaps, etc. So in turn it's devastated by the fact that he hasn't tackled the problem at all this year. There is outbreaks throughout the community on his property within 50 metres of the Mitchell Creek and the homestead, and I feel strongly that he should, which he's got the most advanced spray equipment. He's got a buggy which he used last year for spot spraying with staff. He's got a huge amount of staff, and I'm strongly asking the council, please try and get this happen whereby he goes around one day, spends one day and tackle all these little outbreaks of slender thistles, plus tidy up this mess, because what we've got now, we've got slender thistles growing nicely along fence lines within a few metres of the Bass Highway of Wynyard, which is devastating, and also neighbouring property within a few metres of them. So once again I am asking for you good people to try and even take time out, 12 minutes from Wynyard, Bin of Ewington's Road. You can go in there and you can have a look for yourself, because you'll find that that property once was a clean, viable farm, and now it's just unimaginable. So I'm again asking for the weed control officer to contact the neighbour and ask him to do his job, because I feel I've done a lot to try and contain this weed, and through the actions this month, it's going to destroy all our good work. So once again, I'm asking for your support from you councillors, which in the last 16 years haven't asked for, but I am now asking. Please, can you look into this, because we're nearly on top of it, but through the actions of the neighbour and farmer, we're going to lose all the effort I've done for the last 16 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ewington. You have some questions now, is that correct?
Yep. Reference to the tactile paver installation, location IGA supermarket at West Wynyard. At the pedestrian crossing, there is one tactile paver missing on the supermarket side, including tiles on the pavement to the shop front of the store, including the curb corner at Park Street and English Street. As this is a new development, can the council indicate when they will be installed, as there is a $30,000 funding available for installation of tactile pavers to be installed within the community? Question 2. Is that right, Madam Chairman? Waratah Wynyard Council has no phone number, contact number in the within the white pages of the phone book. There's many members of the community who do not have access to the computer or mobile phone to source the phone number. The manager has indicated a huge cost to install the phone number within the white pages of the book. Why is the council willing to allow installation of Christmas decoration on the carport in Raglan Street, Somerset, which involves 8 staff and a trailer-mounted EPV, taking 4 hours to install decorations, costing approximately $3,500. Within 7 weeks, they will be taken down, costing another $3,500. Total cost will be $7,000, which I feel overcosting for a small project. Question 3. Yep. Christmas decorations are very important for the community and business, attracting people to shops within the community. Can the council indicate why there is no installation of Christmas flags or Christmas decoration to promote the Christmas theme within the community, including the Christmas decoration of English Street with a decorated Christmas tree in the Apex Park? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much for that. Question 1, I'll ask our Director of Engineering, Mr. Summers. Could you respond to that one about the tactile pavers, please?
Yep. Thanks through you, Mayor. I'll actually take that on notice, just to give correct detail for Mr. Ewington's question.
Thank you. Question 2 and question 3, I ask our General Manager to respond.
Thank you, Mayor. In many respects, Mr. Ewington, I think you've probably answered your own questions with item 2 and 3, but you are, I'm not sure the relevance of the phone book comment, but you are correct that installation of Christmas decorations is a costly exercise, and any time where we do have to use elevated work platforms, close streets, use multiple staff, there is clearly a cost associated with that. But there is a community expectation, and I think a councillor expectation, that we do have Christmas decorations within our communities, and we continue to review all of the time what the most relevant Christmas decorations are for each of our towns. So your comment then, why do we allow installation of that to occur? Well, quite clearly there's an expectation that we do deliver some Christmas decorations, and we are using the elevated, as you call it, the carport, if you like, or the cover that goes across the street as a hanging mechanism for those Christmas decorations, as we do in the main street of Wynyard with the arches that cross the main street here. In relation to your second question around why there's no flags and decorated Christmas tree in Apex Park, not dissimilar. Again, flags do come with a cost, as you've rightly pointed out, and so and the question remains: are flags still the most relevant Christmas decorations for our communities? What we find is we've got a new Christmas tree up the main street. We've rolled out Christmas trees in a number of municipal areas in recent years. We have a number of new Christmas trees. We find that they, at the moment, are far more popular. It's easier for people to stand next to a Christmas tree, take a photo, put it on Instagram. It's much more effective than it is to essentially use the flags at a much lower cost. So We continue to review our Christmas decorations. We continue to get feedback on the Christmas decorations. We've either got enough, we've either got too much, or we haven't got enough. It's a very difficult area to get the balance right, but we'll always look for best value for money and most effective decorations at all stages.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Moving on to item 6, Planning Authority items, and at 6:20 we are now moving into our Planning Authority. 6.1, public questions without notice, we have none, and public statements relating to planning matters, we have none also. 6.3, a dwelling located at 18 Goldie Street, Wynyard. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for this recommendation, please?
Recommended as per
Councillor Highland, seconded.
Second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded. Councillor Highland, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Thanks, Madam Chair. No, I haven't got a great lot to say. It's a pretty good report. The only thing that sort of popped out was those 2 huge retaining walls down the front, and having read the information and what they've gone through, and they passed all any hurdles if there were any, and no, I think it's all go, and I'll support it and ask councillors to support it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further comments? Councillor Edwards.
I just think that it's a great development application for the area, and it's very exciting for Wynyard. It's good.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, are there any further speakers to this motion? Are there any speakers against this motion? Councillor Bramage, were you wishing to speak to the motion?
I just want to say well done. It'd be good to see something on that block.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. That brings to a close our planning matters at 6:22. We now move into matters raised by councillors. Item 7, responses to councillor questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. Councillor Courtney, public interest disclosure policy. There is an officer's response there. And Councillor Highland, Fallen Tree at Somerset. You have an officer's response as well. Councillor questions received in writing, nil. Councillor questions without notice. Are there any questions without notice, please? Councillor Courtney, are you?
Yeah, 2. I've got 2, yeah. So one is off the back of the matter that I raised, the public interest disclosure policy. I note that the response is the Ombudsman saying that they're behind and that's why they haven't responded. I'm just wondering, given that a lot of the timeframes with the Ombudsman are a 2-year timeframe, can we find out how far they actually are behind, whether they are able to fulfil their duties at the moment or whether they are so short-staffed that they aren't able to fulfil those duties within the right timeframes? Could we just ask how far behind they are?
Through you, Mayor, we have pressed them consistently around to provide a date for when this work could be undertaken, and there's no information forthcoming. So try as we might, I don't believe that information will come to hand any further than what we've received, Councillor Courtney. Yeah.
That leads to my second question. I'd like to table some information at perhaps one of the workshops that shows where I spoke on whistleblower legislation in January. I've got conflicting information. The Minister for Justice gave me one lot of information on whistleblower protection and how you're eligible. The Integrity Commissioners give me conflicting information. I don't think the departments have even got the legislation straight in their own heads. So I don't know how the system is working if they can't get the legislation right between the two governing bodies. I'd like to bring that to a workshop, and I'd like for us to have a discussion about going back to the Ombudsman about the whistleblower policy and the fact that the legislative references I'm being given from the Integrity Commission and the Minister for Justice are in conflict. So I'd like us to do it something formally in that area if we could.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. That will be taken on notice. Sorry about that. Councillor Courtney, that sounded more like a statement, so is there a question around?
No, I said, can I please bring it to a workshop? Can we please bring it to a workshop? Can I give that evidence? Can I?
Right. Okay, I'll take that as the question then. Thank you. Are there any further councillor questions without notice, please? Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, I just got one. I guess it's to
Can you
do
move
with
closer
slender
to your
thistles.
microphone, please?
Guess it's to do with slender thistles. If a farmer is organic farmer, he wouldn't have to spray, would he? I don't expect an answer now. I just, for my own curiosity, I'll take the question.
Through you, Mayor, it's an interesting question. I'm happy to follow that up. I don't know if striving to be organic would sit aside to legislative duties to handle weed infestations, but I'll find out. So.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Mayor Dunham. Look, just a quick question to follow up for Mr. Ewington. Can we maybe on social media ask the public if they have any cost-effective Christmas ideas for our community that we could perhaps not raise the ire of anyone by delivering Christmas events for cheap in Wynyard, and Somerset and Waratah and everywhere? Thank you.
Through Mayor, I'm not quite sure how to answer it, but we'll give that some consideration, Councillor Roberts, and come back. It ultimately depends on what do we want to consult on, what is our question, so we need to work our way through that. We know, as I said there earlier, it's one of the subject areas that the community have a lot of views on, and getting that balance right is often challenging, so we'll give that some consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. If there are no more questions without notice, I'll move on to item 8.1. Councillor Courtney, you have a motion that you wish to put before us.
I do, so moved.
Councillor Courtney has moved her motion. Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts seconded. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I would. I'd like to first and foremost just respond to Ms Crabbo if I can, if I'm allowed to. I don't want to defer it, and the reason I don't want to defer it is because I read the TASCOS report in October, and it caused me great distress to read the social outcomes that we currently have. That's what brought me to bring this to the council and say, look, I'd like to put our hand up to be a pilot site for the universal program. Now, that won't preclude any group or any other programs that might be being put up or being discussed. All it's doing is saying to the federal government or the state government, whoever's interested in doing a universal basic income in whatever form, that our area, and I think that's supported by the work that the group's doing, our area is absolutely, looking to be a volunteer for a pilot site, whether it be in an open form or whether it be in an administered form. But I don't think we should take the opportunity, especially given that I've put this up specifically in the December meeting, because I think that it's really important at this time of year for us to look at people that are less fortunate than ourselves and ask what we can do. Now, I don't know how many people read the attachments of a TASCOS report, but I'd like to highlight a couple of things that were in there. 22.5% increase in electricity bills in the last 2 years. 20% of Tasmanians missed a utility bill in the past 3 months. 29% of Tasmanians have had an increase in the number of customers repaying electricity debt. We have people in our community that cannot afford the basics. And I think it's time that somebody is proactive and says, look, we need to start looking at a better income for our communities, because there will be more automation, so there will be less jobs. There will be inflation that puts people out of work. Small business will go out of work because we don't have expendable income. We've got sporting groups that are losing numbers because people can't afford to play. They can't afford to buy the boots. They can't afford to pay the membership fees. We've got community groups that are screaming out for volunteers, but everybody has to work because they can't pay the bills. I think that if we want our social equity to improve, it needs to start with a basic level income that gives people the dignity to be able to pay for their utilities and their groceries without going into debt. The fact that we have 29% of Tasmanians that have had to go into electricity debt is shameful. Now, if the federal government aren't going to step up and the state government aren't going to step up, I'm asking that we step up. I'm asking that we step up and we think about the people in our community, particularly this time of year, that cannot afford their electricity bills. If we have a universal basic income where everybody has a certain amount of fortnight that can let them pay their rent, that can let them pay their bills, it gives them dignity. We save money in mental health because a lot of anxiety and depression is because people can't pay their bills. So if we want to bring down costs in mental health, give people a basic income. If we want more people to be volunteers and in community groups, give people a basic income. If we want people to be able to pay their utility bills and not be ashamed that they can't pay their bills and buy their groceries, give them an income. We don't have to over-administrate it. If we do, then we're just creating more public service jobs. I'd like less public service jobs and more of us to work 3 days a week and 4 days a week so we can get that life balance back. That's why I've put this forward, and that's why I asked my fellow councillors to support the fact that all I'm doing is saying we'd like to be a pilot site in any way, shape or form, and if they want to come in and work with our groups in a formatted way, then that's great. I accept that too. But I think this is the first step in putting our hands up to say, can we please be a trial site if you're going to look at it, because we've got the most socially disadvantaged, and I think this is a good site to start doing the right thing.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Councillor
listening.
Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Raw.
Yes, well, I'd like to speak. With that, please.
Yes, you'll go right ahead.
Okay. Thanks to Andrea for putting forward about her universal-based income. But I'd just like to talk about a bit of the background around Robin and the work she's done and how far into that we are. So the work on the community-based income is up and running in Wynyard, and the work's being done by Live Well Tasmania. And the work they're doing is exceedingly complex. And over the few years that I've been involved, they've settled on a community-based income rather than a universal-based income for many different reasons that I don't want to go into right here. So you'd know that Live Well Tasmania are a non-profit group, and they want to increase health and wellbeing and build community capacity and resilience. And under the leadership of Robin Crabbe, they've formed the steering group to implement the trial of a community-based income in northwest Tasmania, and specifically to involve the Waratah Wynyard community. So that choice has been made. It will be Waratah Wynyard as well as other small groups. The steering community has worked for some years on describing the parameters of their project, foreseeing what sort of problems will come up and providing some possible solutions, and ensuring that the project has the best possible outcomes for the community. So concepts around like universal basic income and participation income and other named projects, they're not new concepts. They've been around for many years. And they've been debated over time about, improving living for people in the community. And again, it's back on the political agenda, probably because of all the things you're talking about, the time and the hardship that people are facing now. But the community-based income concept is newer, but it's building on the community-based idea. It's about being in the community, understood by the community and actually for the community, and developing the project to suit the community. So we've got less chances of failure or less chance of it not working as well as it could do. So the main advantages of the community-based income, because the impact of poverty is huge on our community, the main advantages are the reducing or avoiding poverty, reducing income equality, reducing the need for government programs, improving the physical and mental health, making higher education and work training more accessible, encouraging entrepreneurship and independence, and supporting parents to engage in the best possible education for the children. So the community-based income is similar, well, has some similarity to the universal income in that it's sufficient money to sustain a decent standing of living, available without punitive conditions, but the difference is that it's paid to a participant who contributes directly and indirectly to their community and to their own health and well-being. So in essence, it's a livable wage paid to those who provide good service directly or indirectly to the benefit of society, and it can include providing caring services, engaging in education and training, and other activities that increase health and well-being. So that person-centred care and co-design for the income, for the project, are the focus of this one, of community-based income. So the community, in effect, decides how participants are deemed eligible for it, and with a high priority being placed on seeking out and understanding what's important to participants and their health and their well-being. And the Live Well Tasmania model of co-designing the details of the trial has a further benefit of building community capacity. So, and that building capacity will help councils deliver their health and wellbeing plans and things like that. So I suppose this, the community-based income is more around looking at personal groups within the community and matching support and giving them all the support they can get to give back to their community and grow and things like that. So that's just probably the difference there. So where to from here? Because Live Well Tasmania have done a huge amount of work and have got this to a point of understanding around what they think they would like to implement in our community. So I'd like to suggest that we postpone the motion until the council workshopping can be done with Robin, so we can talk about the Live Well Tasmania community-based income. And I'd suggest, as Robin did, that the steering group also move to working with the Cradle Coast Authority to strengthen their position in moving ahead. And I feel that with more discussions and understandings, councillors can then understand the concepts of the project and the specific areas within the project that require support from a council. And they're really keen to have you join the group, because there's been so much work done that has got them to a specific point with many, many reasons behind it. And I think it would be very advantageous if you joined the group, so we can have two-way understanding of concepts and why we want to work in a particular way.
So, Councillor Raw, you did say that you would like to defer the have the meeting. Sorry, the motion deferred. So, sorry.
Yeah,
so you're wishing to?
I'd like to formally move a procedural motion that the matter be deferred until a workshop or workshops can be held, so that as a group of councillors we can understand the Live Well Tasmania work and where they're at with their community-based income, and then make decisions on how we could support that.
Yep, thank you. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Hyland. There is to be no debate on this particular motion, and I do accept the motion as put by Councillor Raw. I may have to call for a division. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Edwards, Councillor Bramich, Councillor Raw, Councillor Hyland, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Roberts against. Councillor Courtney is against. The motion has been carried. Thank you. Oh, yep, sorry. I have to vote as well, so I'm voting with the group. Sorry. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to item 9, reports by of officers and committees. Beg your pardon? Beg your pardon. If you would, if you wish to address someone, can you do it through the chair, please, Councillor Courtney? Reports of officers and committees, the 9.1 accessibility strategy. The recommendation there is that the council adopt this strategy, including the inclusion action plan. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded. Madam Chair.
Councillor Highland, would you like to speak to that motion, Councillor Roberts?
Just again, following up on the discussion just then to this, again, council is really innovative in its approach towards issues facing the community, and the work that is being done is not only going to positively benefit our region, but the regions around us as well. And I really think that a lot of this work that is being done is actually of the highest standard, and I'm really looking forward to the future of our region.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Highland, are you wishing to speak for or against the motion? You're fine? Okay. Are there any further speakers to the motion, please? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.2, the Somerset Community Centre. The recommendation there is that Council determined to cease discussions with the Somerset Uniting Church Committee regarding a possible community centre at Camrise Uniting Church at 3 Ragg Street in Somerset. Could I have a mover for that motion? Councillor Bramich, are you moving that one?
I'll move the recommendation.
Beg your pardon?
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank
sorry.
you. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramich, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Thank you. Just very briefly. Yeah, this has gone on far too long. Council need to know what they're doing. The Somerset community need to know what they're going to have or not going to have. And I think it's a wise move that we cease all discussions with this group.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Look, again, just to follow up on what Councillor Bramich is saying there is, look, while at times it may seem there's issues that council overlook, behind the scenes, council is negotiating or is working towards finding a resolution that will suit residents of all the regions in our municipal region. And council does go into these negotiations in good faith. And as Councillor Bramich has said, since I've come on council, you know, there's certain negotiations that are just quite difficult at times, and I think that council has done everything it can. So for the citizens of Somerset, we have done everything that we can on our end, and we really do encourage any community groups from Somerset that are interested to do the negotiations themselves. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Highland?
Yeah, I'll be brief, but just in all fairness, I think the group that the council was dealing with, the church group, I think they were pretty upfront in what they wanted to do, but I think it was the main body behind the scenes that weren't saying anything at all and weren't very forthcoming with anything. So, wise decision, and we'll move on.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. If there are no speakers against the motion, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.3 is the Wynyard Playground. There are two parts to the recommendation there. Could I have a mover for that particular motion? Councillor Edwards?
Yes, I'll move with the recommendation. Thank you.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts, seconded. Councillor Edwards, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, I think even though I don't actively go down the slide, we have noted that there have been injuries since the last report, so that it has come to light, and we as a council have acted. Firstly, it's to the Australian standards, and then looking past that to seeing how we can make it better. So in that, we're changing it up a little bit. And I'd just like to note that from the manufacturer, stating from the report by the manufacturer that he has said that there's no guarantee offered by the manufacturer that this modification to the red and blue slide would result in 0 injuries following completion. So, kids need to have fun and can't help little accidents where they come. But for us, in our inspections, it is to the Australian standards and will be continued to be weekly inspected and quarterly for more detailed and conditioned inspections to annually for full inspections of the entire area. So this is an area that we do take seriously and listen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, you wish to speak.
Indeed. Again, just to follow up on what Deputy Mayor Edwards has said, myself, on becoming aware immediately of this slide, went and followed up on it and had a look at it and went down the slide myself, and I actually come and spoke to the General Manager and he followed up on it straight away. So if anyone is watching this, I just want them to understand that absolutely that this council absolutely takes the safety of the children very seriously, and the big spanner in the works was once we'd inspected the slide and it come back that it met Australian standards, then we genuinely would have to have a reason particularly to shut it down. That answer was not good enough for our council, and has been as thorough as they are. They did follow up on that with the manufacturer, and the delay was actually in the manufacturer getting back to council. It wasn't actually that the managers of council did not follow up on this and did not ask and follow up on it. So I want to actually commend our council for following up on this and actually following proper due process. And while I am sorry for the delay to the public, it is actually been very well handled in my opinion, and I must thank the team at our council for getting onto this and making sure that this will not happen again. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. And you safely came down the slide. As an adult, you were probably not supposed to be on it, but anyway. Okay, are there any speakers against the motion, please? If there are no speakers against the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.4 is the Waste Management Services update. There's a recommendation there for the council. 5 parts to that recommendation. Number 1 is note the formation of the FOGO Community Engagement Group led by Cradle Coast Waste Management Services. Number 2, commence transfer of waste from curbside collection services to Dulverton landfill as early as practicable in 2024. Number 3 is commence transfer of waste from the Wynyard Waste Transfer Station to Dulverton landfill from the 1st of July 2024. Number 4 is approve a change to fortnightly waste collection for urban curbside services from the 1st of July 2024 to coincide with the introduction of weekly urban curbside FOGO collection. And number 5, confirm a desire for Cradle Coast Waste Services to explore a regional curbside waste collection contract. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts moved. Could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Hyland. Councillor Roberts, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Just again, for anyone who is watching and listening, that anyone that has read the agenda, to take note of the date of 1st of July 2024 to the fortnightly waste collection. As again with the UBI or CBI or the PI, and in regards to some of the stuff that is coming out of our community, we definitely are on the cutting edge, and we've been very well informed about this one, and I'm looking forward to looking toward a brighter future for waste management in our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion or against the motion? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I noticed in the report it said education and communication, so I would just like to ask if we could discuss this further at a workshop, just as a talking point, where we have community conversations. So it would be nice to be able to take it to the community when we say education. So whether we look at like the Wynyard Show and do some education in that space, because there will be people that will walk past, and it would be nice to do like a visual timeline of how big the wheelie bin's going to be to what it was and to what it's going to be, and just a visual in that space. Think outside the box of how we can educate by going to the people rather than trying to do it in our community conversations and everything. So
thank you for those recommendations, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any further speakers? Are there any speakers against the motion? If there are no speakers against the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We're up to item 9.5. In actual fact, we have 3 items for noting only. They are 9.5, 9.6 and 9.8.1. And I'm going to suggest that they be moved in a block.
So
And if-
moved, Madam Chair.
Could I have a second?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Great. So moving on, we have 9.5, which is the quarterly information report, the organisational performance. And we have the financial report for the period ended the 30th of November 2023. And 9.8.1, excuse me a moment while I find it, it's the minutes of other bodies, committees, the audit panel committee held on the 28th of November. So could I have a mover for those 3 items, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Johnson. You are able to speak against any of those items if you so wish. Are there any comments that anyone wishes to make for those items that are for noting only? No comments? If there are no speakers against this motion for those 3 items, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. So we must go to 9.7. 9.7 is the Senior Management Report. There is a recommendation there, 3 parts. The Council note the monthly Senior Management Report, note the submission made to the Draft Land Use Planning and Approvals Development Assessment Panel Amendment Bill 2024 and rescind the Disability Discrimination Policy. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Hyland. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion? You don't wish to speak. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion, or are there any speakers against the motion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. So moving on, we're up to item 10, matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. There is a recommendation there before you. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
I'll move with the recommendation.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, could I have
I'll
a seconder,
second that.
please? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Closure of the meeting to the public. The recommendation is that we go into the closed meeting. We need an absolute majority. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Johnson. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. And the open meeting closed at 6:52. Could you all turn your microphones off, please?